There have been some updates regarding Reckless Ben and Bricks and Minifigs. There was a gag order put on Reckless Ben that prevented him from releasing part 3. And so that's huge because just recently there was a motion put forward that would remove the gag order. So we would get part 3 and we would see a lot of new information that would, cover some of the holes. There's been a lot of different narratives being pushed. The CEO of Bricks and Minifigs has been trying to spin it like we were just confused about the situation. But I think we can all see morally, not legally, morally, something really wrong has happened here. This Lego was his father's Lego. It was his father's Lego set that he had collected for a long time. So it means a lot to him, and it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So then you have these new owners come in, and they just straight up steal the Lego. And they've been trying to deny it, saying that the owners that they took it from, they didn't make any spreadsheets and show where the actual Lego was. But CoffeeZilla put out a video exposing a lot of this. And that's what I really wanted to highlight in my video is the deception and the lies. There has been so much deception and lies from the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs and also the guy who took over the store. I believe his name is Joshua. His name is Josh Johnson. So Josh Johnson takes over the store, and then he tries to claim that he didn't know anything about the Lego sets. But what CoffeeZilla revealed was he knew damn well. He actually told the police that the Lego sets were all on layover. He told that to the police. And then later he told CoffeeZilla that only 2 or 3 layaway sets were there when he took over the store. So he was clearly lying. And that's the most important thing I've seen during this whole saga. And this is one of the greatest sagas we've ever seen on YouTube, like in terms of entertainment, was the lying. And Bricks and Minifigs, the CEOs and the owners, they went on CoffeeZilla, and they said that Josh Johnson arrived that night with a rental car. However, there are pictures of a U-Haul. And so this is where they're really getting caught up in their own lies, because it's clearly evident that there was a U-Haul there that night. And even the previous store owner, the Gormans, who started the consignment, they claim there was a U-Haul, and there's pictures confirming that. So to me, that says it all. And if you look into the history of Josh Johnson and the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, they have backgrounds in companies that they previously worked for where they helped people protect their assets legally, not morally. They were helping people hold on to their assets or their companies in a legal way. So they're very familiar with the legal system and, potentially seizing items that aren't theirs. And so that's where it really comes down to what happened. And for me, what happened was Josh Johnson was working with the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, and they colluded once they found out that there was hundreds of thousands of dollars of Star Wars sets. They thought like, hey, let's get together. Let's seize the store. They had some trumped up charges on the previous owners, the Gormans. They said, let's seize this store. Let's take all the Star Wars assets and let's just pretend like we didn't know about them because the previous owner screwed up the books. That's what I personally think happened in this case. And, when you look at their backgrounds, it's pretty obvious that that's what they're doing, allegedly. And I'm going to add allegedly because they've been going after everybody talking about this situation because they're trying to, keep their brand name. They're trying to, get rid of all the risk and not destroy their reputation. But it's done. It's done. And there's even been other YouTubers who have been going to other Bricks and Minifig stores. And I forget the name of this particular YouTuber, but he showed how the consignment is like a total scam. They tell you that they're going to give you up to like 50%, and they end up lowballing you and, potentially, allegedly lying. It looks like they're lying in some of the video to pretty much say that you have fakes or you have inauthentic Legos and lowball you and give you 10 or 20%. So for me, the reputation of Bricks and Minifigs is done. It's completely done. And when you see how much they've been lying, they were lying about the U-Haul. They were lying. The CEO said, "Oh, we didn't know we even had any Lego sets." You're the CEO. You're the CEO. Ignorance, no, you don't get to plead ignorance right now. These are your stores. You got to make sure. You got to make sure you know what's going on in your stores. But obviously, he has a background in this, and he shelters himself legally through the whole franchise thing. So that's what I think. I'm curious what everybody else thinks. There was also all the corruption with the police. The Mormon police were clearly helping them. They're also Mormons. The CEO and the local, the Josh Johnson, the guy who seized the store, he's a Mormon. So they were all working together. And I think the biggest thing that people want to see is that we want to see justice. These guys colluded to steal that Lego. Allegedly. I gotta say allegedly. But they definitely colluded to steal that Lego. To me, it's obvious when you factor in how often they were lying, especially with the U-Haul. Why are you rolling up there as soon as you seize the store with a U-Haul and your CEO was saying it's a rental car? Right? Your CEO was lying and saying there was a rental car, but there was a U-Haul there stealing those Legos. That's what I think. On top of that, what they filed when they were doing their RICO case, they said that there was only $5,000 worth of Lego sets. But after the CoffeeZilla investigation, there's not 200,000 which was allegedly reported by Reckless Ben, but there's over 100,000. Apparently over 100,000. And they claim there was only 5,000, which is totally illegal. I watched another lawyer say that this is under oath. So when you swear that you've done all your due diligence and you're only claiming that there's 5,000 worth, you're just misleading everybody. You're trying to play the system. And I think what we all want to see in this situation, we want to see some morality. We want to see some justice for the Mansells. All they did was put up their Lego. They thought they could go to a local trustworthy store with bricks and minifigs and put their stuff up on consignment. And what ended up happening? You have somebody who owns the store who has a background in seizing people's assets and protecting them legally, and they collude with somebody to steal that Lego. Allegedly. I'm gonna add allegedly again because you never know. I mean, I'm nobody on YouTube, but who knows what how diabolical? Because this whole thing was, shall I say, diabolical. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. To me, Josh Johnson and the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, they colluded to steal that Lego. Allegedly they colluded to steal that Lego. So let me know what you think. I'll see you guys on the next video.